editing elements that are in a reference file. In order to edit elements that are in a reference file, we need to go to the Attach Tools, which is underneath the Home ribbon, and get to the References dialog box. Because right now, if I come in here and select an element, let's say this text right here, you'll notice that if I hover over it, you'll see that it's in a reference file of civil geometry. So in there, if I try to select that piece of geometry and try to move it or possibly delete it, I won't be able to do anything with it because that particular geometry is located in one of these files. It's not in this active file. And it's the same thing for the rest of this geometry. So if I need to manipulate it, I need to do one of possibly three things. In order to edit that geometry, one way I could do that is to simply figure out what file it's located under. If I come in here and change my highlight mode to highlight, and you'll notice as I come through here and select these reference files, you'll see that it's going to highlight that geometry so I know what file it's located under. So let's say I need to move possibly this text or whatever. One thing that I could do is simply open up that civil geometry file and make my edits to it. So that would be one option. Another option that I could do is inside my reference tools, I could go to the tools pull down. Since I have this one right here selected, I go to the tools pull down and I can do the option of exchange, which what that will do is actually open up that file, but it will be at the same zoom ratio of what I currently have in this file. So if you've zoomed into maybe this area right here and I do the option of exchange, it'll actually exchange me into that file, open up that civil geometry file, and it'll look at the same zoom ratio of what I'm at right now. So that would be a second option. Another option that I could do is what they call activate. And to do that, I could select the civil geometry file and go to the tools pull down, or I can right click over it and it'll give me the same options. You have the option right here that says activate. So for this example here, I will use the activate option, and what it will do is actually go through here and gray out everything else except for the geometry that's in the civil geometry file. So anything that I do right now is actually applying it to this civil geometry file. And you'll notice that in view 1 you'll see that this file right now is active. So like I said, anything that I do right now, it's actually doing it to that civil geometry file. So if I want to take this text right here and I want to move it, let me go ahead and change my highlight mode back to boundary. Let's say I want to take this text right here, and let's say I want to move it to some other location. I could simply use my element selection tool and I'll just dynamically move it. You'll see that it moved that particular text. If I needed to do it to some of this other text, I could do the same thing. So that's what the activate option would allow you to do. Now, one note on the activate option is that option works really good if you're just doing a minor change to that particular file, like if you're moving something or possibly deleting something. That works pretty good for that. But if you're doing some more changes to it, like if you're trying to copy something or you're adding to that file, maybe you're adding a line or adding an entrance or something like that, it would be better to actually exchange into that file or physically do a file open and make those changes. Because if you do the activate like what we're doing here, sometimes the symbology won't come over correct. So like I said, if you're doing a minor change, like if you're deleting something or moving something, the activate option works great for that. But if you're doing any other changes, I would suggest to either do the exchange option, which actually opens up that file, or physically open up that file. So on the activate, we move that text right here and we move some other text. Now if we're finished with that, simply right click over that file and do the deactivate. So now we're working inside of this plan drawing, and anything that I add, of course, to this drawing is going to add to this particular file. So that's some options editing elements that are in a reference file.